Welcome to the Let's Talk Toxins show. Imagine feeling vibrant and energized every single day, no matter your age. In this episode, we're uncovering the top 5 supplements that every woman should know about to maintain peak health for a lifetime. Curious about what these powerhouse supplements are and how they can revolutionize your well-being? Well, stay tuned because this is as close as I get to suggesting that you pop a pill to suppress symptoms. Something as simple as the right supplement could be the game changer you've been looking for. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Gayla Gorman, a licensed acupuncturist, naturopath, and author of What's Your Kryptonite? I wrote the book to help women understand the effects of chronic stress that's turned toxic. In the book, I share the MOLT method I developed to make it easy to shed stress along with the accumulated toxicity, just like any other creature in nature that's outgrown its trappings, so that you can cruise through midlife and beyond symptom-free, so that you can put an end to health issues like chronic fatigue, insomnia, mood swings, and even weight gain. So, MOLT in this case is an acronym. The T stands for toxins, and I can say with confidence that every symptom is caused by accumulated toxicity. I evaluate 12 categories of toxicity when I'm working with someone to unravel a health mystery. Our world is full of man-made substances that our bodies were not designed to deal with. Couple this toxicity with an overwhelming amount of toxic stressors the body was designed to manage, and it's no wonder women find themselves playing whack-a-mole with symptoms. Here's a report that's a great example of a toxin trend. This study determined that tampons were linked to arsenic and lead poisoning. And so this kind of information has been out there for decades now, but this is the first study I've seen that really showed that it isn't just one certain brand, but that all these brands of tampons, they're finding these sorts of chemicals in. And even more concerning, it's not just sort of off or the most popular brands, it's also the organic cotton tampons. So if you're turning to an all-natural brand, even something organic, just know that that may not be solving the problem. Your vaginal tissue, if you're still cycling, most of the women that I work with are beyond that point in time, but if you have daughters or friends that are still having this issue and they're open to hearing, just know that they need to understand how easy it is for their bodies to absorb these toxins through the thin, delicate tissue in the vaginal area. And so just really important to do what we can to minimize our exposure to things that we know are introducing toxicity. There's a lot of things that we come into contact with that we really have very little control over. But in a situation like this, we can use different methods for dealing with the natural bleeding of the menstrual cycle. One thing I'd just like to point out here is how important the menstrual cycle is in keeping us healthy. The blood exchange, essentially, the blood loss every month, if that blood loss is an abnormal amount, either more or less, or if it's either really bright red or really dark red, those are all indications of a state of dis-ease in that reproductive system. And so as an Oriental medicine practitioner, these are the kinds of questions that we ask to help us get to the bottom of what actually is disrupting those systems. And so just know when you get to the point where you aren't cycling and you're not essentially forcing your body to regenerate fresh blood every month, then it can be really helpful to just donate blood every 3 to 6 months. It just really helps your body to kind of use a hormetic stressor, like a controlled amount of blood loss, to just jumpstart that blood production process. And so again, that can be really helpful, and then also helps us to flush out toxicity. So if you think about it, just like we would consume water to sort of flush out our kidneys and bladder, the urinary tract, similar sort of thing happens when we donate blood and we force our body to generate new blood. So in my book, What's Your Kryptonite? Chapter 12 is dedicated to helping readers manage what I refer to as tricky toxins. So heavy metals are one of those tricky toxins, and our bodies are bombarded with toxicity. So we have to learn to manage it. Just comment tricky toxins and we'll send you a link where you can download the chapter for free. And so if commenting isn't convenient wherever you're watching or listening to this episode, just go to drgala.com/links, and Dr. Gala is drgala.com/links. Sign up for my Wellness Weekly newsletter. It comes out every Sunday, and you can respond to any email you receive from me with tricky toxins, and we'll get you a link. So every suggestion you'll hear from me has been tested in the trenches. So in this segment, which I refer to as walking my talk, just know that this includes saying no to symptom suppression. Over the past 4 decades, I've developed processes that work sustainably. Typically, it requires a combination of approaches that I've synthesized to address the health issues that show up repeatedly for many women. Recently, I had an opportunity to walk my talk, and that really involved one of the 7 ways that I use in my human energy system reboot, and that is to make sure that we're consuming enough protein and the right protein. And I was finding that I was really challenged. This is really a problem for those of us who like to eat 1 meal a day, OMAD. So I was finding that I was doing pretty well eating generally 1 meal a day, but I would find myself kind of snacking just out of almost convenience in the evening. And I was doing okay not snacking too late, but I was finding that when I was snacking, the snacks were very low protein. They were fairly high quality snacks, but very low protein. And so I had to make sure that I have tuna salad or chicken salad or turkey salad, something like that, that I can eat with a few crackers, that then at least I'm consuming close, if not all the way to my goal of at least 20 grams of protein in each meal. And so a meal generally consists of anything over 100 calories. So when you're fasting, there's kind of an unspoken rule that if something is under 100 calories, it really doesn't tend to spike our blood sugar enough to pull us out of fasting. But if it's more than 100 calories, of course, this is, not cast in stone that that's the exact number. But if it's more than 100 calories, it's considered more of a meal. And so really important that if you think about it, you're even drinking a glass of wine, that's more than 100 calories. So that essentially is a meal. And I tend to like to have a little some snack with a glass of wine in the evening if I'm going to have a glass of wine. And so you want to make sure that snack is high protein. Our goal is to get at least 50 grams of protein, at least, 20 to 30 in at least 2 meals a day. Yes, there are a lot of people who would suggest that you eat 1 gram of protein, consume 1 gram of protein for every pound of body weight. I don't recommend that for a lot of reasons, which is more than we can go into. If you're interested in hearing more about that, comment around this video so that I know you're interested in that, and I can do a whole episode on protein consumption, because I do think it's very interesting, and there's some things that we need to understand for a mature woman that you're not going to get from a bro YouTube creator that really doesn't understand how a mature female woman's body works. So this actually led me to try to figure out how I was going to make sure that I had appropriate snacks in the house. And I actually ended up creating a whole menu with a flexible grocery list and daily or weekly variety of things that I wanted to keep in the house. And so I was then able to kind of be more proactive about how I was going to make sure that things that are healthy for me to eat are also handy and convenient. And that's just critical for us. We're all busy, and if it's healthy and otherwise meets the criteria, then we think this is good enough. And honestly, it's not good enough. The nutrient density of what we're consuming is extremely important, especially as we age, because we tend to need to eat less meals. We're trying to be more mindful about what we're eating and how much we're eating. And so it's really important to make sure that we're getting the nutrient density in what we are eating. So now let's talk about the 5 supplements women must take to improve their health forever. And when I'm done, drop a comment and let me know which supplements you're considering adding, and most importantly, why. We always want to be supplementing thoughtfully. And so if you feel like anything that I speak about here resonates with you, it should be, fitting into your overall supplement protocol for a reason. So first, I will say that you want to be taking some multivitamin. The only people who probably don't need a multivitamin are people that really eat a super healthy, nutrient dense diet. Maybe they're eating farm to table most of the time, and those people probably are doing okay and don't need a multivitamin. But most of us could use to supplement with a multivitamin. This is due to poor diet. Even if we eat a really good diet, a lot of times the soil is depleted from the vitamins and minerals, or especially the minerals. And the minerals are what sort of provides the nutrients for the plant to make the nutrients that we are consuming. So that's just important to know, that even if you're eating a really healthy diet, it's probably deficient. The most important thing to understand about the multivitamin is that you want to vary the sources. And so many people will kind of find a vitamin supplier that they really think is good, and then they literally have been taking that same vitamin for years and years. And this weakens your microbiome and your digestive system, and really is not doing you any favors. The way I approach using a multivitamin is we rotate the multivitamin that we use. And if you're working with me, I use a process basically to evaluate what your body needs at the time. If you're trying to do this yourself, just come up with 3 or 4 brands and just switch that up every month or two. If you have 4 brands that you take regularly, then take one month, the next one the next month, the next one the next month, the next one the next month, and then you're basically going to take 4 different multivitamins 3 times a year, and then you'll get a nice variation of the combination. Essentially, if you look at the breakdown of these vitamins, you'll find that they really do vary more than you think they do, or that you think they would. And so the most important thing to realize is that every manufacturer sources their ingredients from a different place, but they tend to find a place that they source their ingredients that they turn to repeatedly. And so the soil that those ingredients were grown in, the environment that they were harvested out of, that's the same, and it's got the same sort of chemical structure, if you will. And so mixing up the sources kind of mixes up what's coming into your body, not that different from eating a variety of nutrient dense foods, essentially. So the next thing would be minerals. And just like vitamins, we tend to find that we are deficient in minerals. And this is primarily due to the fact that, again, our soil is depleted. Also, that a lot of the chemicals that we are encountering every day tend to bind to these minerals and sort of pull them out of our body, even if they shouldn't be doing that. And so some minerals are just really critical for cellular functioning, and we may need to supplement, but we've got to supplement mindfully with all of these vitamins and minerals, anything I suggest here, because there's a balance in our body that our body manages pretty easily if we're getting all these vitamins, minerals, nutrients in diet, and it's going through our digestive system, and our system is filtering what it needs, what it doesn't need. No, I got plenty of that, send this off, as waste. But when we're sort of supplementing in essentially a stronger dose, it's an artificial way of getting that into our body that can be a little confusing for our digestive system. So now we're trying to essentially take over a process that our body's designed to do naturally, and it can backfire on you if you're not careful. So vitamins, minerals, nutrients, everything requires digestion, requires, your stomach, your spleen, your liver, your gallbladder, all your digestive tract, every system in your body essentially has to deal with it, with anything that you consume. And so just don't fall into the trap of thinking like your body will just get rid of it and there's no implications if you're taking way more than you need. So the first one I want to talk about here is zinc and copper. And so the ideal ratio of zinc to copper in the body is 8-1, but an acceptable range is 4-1 to 12-1. So maintaining this ratio is important for good health. Zinc reduces the amount of copper the body absorbs, and high doses of zinc can lead to copper deficiency. So this is one of the reasons why you may have heard a suggestion to take zinc and copper together, again, to kind of manage that ratio. But just know that you can never manage the ratio because your body is getting some of these nutrients, some of these minerals just in the foods that you're consuming. And so again, we're trying to bridge the gap as mindfully as possible, and just want to make sure that you're watching for any signs of an imbalance that you're creating. So an imbalanced ratio can be linked to inflammation, poor brain health, disturbed sleep, and cardiovascular issues. So the next mineral is magnesium and calcium. As you can see, these are combinations, so zinc and copper and magnesium and calcium. Calcium and magnesium are both essential minerals that work together to support good health. The optimal ratio of calcium to magnesium is around 2-1, and if you stray too far from that ratio, it can be unhealthy. So for example, if you take 1,000 milligrams of calcium, you should also take 500 milligrams of magnesium. But the interesting thing with calcium and magnesium is you don't want to take them together. They're best taken separately because they kind of compete with each other. So I tend to recommend that you take vitamins and minerals with food, and then we take herbs and homeopathics and that sort of thing away from food. So if you're taking calcium and magnesium, I would suggest taking your calcium with your meal, and then you might want to just use the magnesium in the evening. It can really help promote relaxation, can help if you're prone to getting muscle spasms at night, then taking magnesium in the evening can really help. And so that could be a good way for you to balance how you're getting this calcium and magnesium to keep that in check. The other minerals essentially are a combination, sodium, potassium, that sort of thing, essentially your electrolytes. And so if you're leaning into fasting, intermittent fasting, just like I typically recommend for mature women, 18-6, which means you've got a 6-hour eating window. That works really well to eat 2 meals in a 6-hour eating window. And you get plenty of nutrients if you're eating a high quality diet, plenty of nutrients in those 2 meals, and it's not too challenging. But if you find that you're wanting to fast a little longer, maybe try one meal a day, maybe even try a 40-hour fast, then you're going to need to make sure that you don't let your electrolytes get out of balance. And there are supplements like LMNT that can help to keep your electrolytes in balance. But honestly, I don't like using all that extra salty stuff if I don't have to. But when I do an extended fast, I definitely have to make sure that I keep my electrolytes nourished, replenished. So that's just something important to know. The next thing we're going to talk about is essential fatty acids. So A's, they're referred to sometimes. And so 1 gram of omega-3 to 4 grams of omega-6 is the ideal ratio. And the important thing to know here is that bad fats are higher in omega-6. They can be up to 15 to 1. And so what we find is that eliminating the bad fats is extremely difficult, especially if you eat out a lot. A restaurant just simply is not going to spend the money to use really high quality oils. So we find that it's best to supplement with things that are higher in omega-3 to help offset that. And that includes cod liver oil. You might turn to vitamin A and D to help increase your omega-3. And just from my perspective, I use cod liver oil in capsules, and it just makes it a lot easier to consume. And especially if you take these kinds of things with a meal and it goes into your digestive system, you won't have any sort of reaction that's an unpleasant back feed, essentially feedback on consuming this cod liver oil. If you just take it in a capsule and you take it on an empty stomach, a lot of times your body will let you know that was kind of something that needed to be diluted. But if you take it with a meal, you won't have a problem. So just remember, again, you can get a copy of my Tricky Toxins chapter from my book, What's Your Kryptonite, for free. Just comment Tricky Toxins and we'll send you a link where you can download the chapter. If commenting isn't convenient, go to drgala.com/links and sign up for my Wellness Weekly newsletter. You can respond to any email you receive from me with Tricky Toxins and we'll send you a link. So we've covered 3 now: multivitamins, magnesium and calcium, and essential fatty acids. So let's continue with a couple more supplements women must take to improve their health forever. And don't forget, when I'm done, drop a comment and let me know which supplements you're considering adding and why. So number 4 is a B complex. And so one of the questions that I get here is, do I really need to take a B complex if there are all the B vitamins in the multivitamins? And I would say that generally you probably would get enough B vitamins in your multivitamin, especially if it's a multivitamin that's designed specifically for women, because women do tend to be more prone to having B vitamin deficiencies. But if you are not eating much meat, which if you're consuming enough protein, then you should be eating enough meat, then this would not be a problem. But if you're still struggling with that, then you want to make sure that you are probably adding a B complex on top of your multivitamin. The other thing that I recommend to women is to use bovine liver supplements. I can't imagine that you're going to want to eat liver any more than I would, and so it's much easier to just consume this liver in supplement form, and really just, it's super easy, and really these are the kinds of things that I consider diet enhancement. So you may hear me say that I never recommend taking supplements long term. And so that is 100% true. You'll hear me repeat that over and over again. And so just to clear up any confusion, that doesn't apply to things that are considered nutrient enhancement or diet enhancement. So things like cod liver oil, liver supplementation, those sorts of things. Those sorts of things are really necessary because our diet is really deficient. The thing to remember about B vitamins is that they are water soluble, so that's a really good thing. It might not mean anything to you, but to me it means a lot because I know that if something's water soluble, it's much easier for your body to process it and get rid of what it doesn't need. And so I'm less concerned about you getting too much of a B vitamin. Just know though that these B vitamins, really any of these supplements that I'm talking about here, require that your digestion and assimilation be working optimally. And so if you feel like you're taking things and they don't seem to be improving the situation, then taking more supplements probably isn't the answer. You probably need a good protocol to deal with some toxic buildup and to get things working properly again so that your body can be assimilating what you're taking in. So number 5, the last one here, is antioxidants. And so the first antioxidant that is really just super simple, again, this is a water soluble vitamin, is vitamin C. And so you can take vitamin C to what is referred to as bowel tolerance. And so a lot of times we'll take magnesium to what's referred to as bowel tolerance. If you take too much magnesium or too much vitamin C, you'll end up with loose bowels, possibly even diarrhea. And obviously at that point you need to back things off. But I will tell you that if you feel a cold coming on, the first thing to do is to start mega dosing vitamin C. And so I would be taking like 1,000 milligrams every 2 or 3 hours. And you will find that your body will start cleaning up all the debris that your immune system is making, trying to fight this off. And it will really help speed along the recovery. The vitamin C is really important that you get a high quality vitamin C. I typically use ester C, ESTER. And so if you really want it to assimilate quickly, the best way to take it is to use it in powder form and dilute it in water. But I will tell you, it's pretty nasty. So probably easier just to pop a capsule, and if your digestion is working fairly well, you shouldn't have a problem. Also know that if you haven't hit bowel intolerance, but your urine is really yellow, that's another sign that you've probably hit your body's limit and you're taking enough of it. Unless you're in some acute situation, like you feel a cold coming on or something like that, there's no need to be taking too much. And again, if you've got a really high quality multivitamin, most of the time that multivitamin is going to have a lot of these things already included, possibly even vitamins and minerals. And so if you get a good vitamin mineral supplement and take an essential fatty acid that is high in omega-3, then you've pretty much got things covered. Again, as long as you're eating a high quality nutrient dense diet and you're getting enough protein. The answers I give to questions I receive quite often apply to and would be helpful for most women. I've accumulated a few related questions here, and if you'd like to ask a question yourself, I created a form so that it's sure to get answered. And your question could be shared in a future episode, helping many other women. So comment question and we'll get you a link to the form. And if commenting isn't convenient, go to drgala.com/links and sign up for my Wellness Weekly newsletter, where you can respond to any email you receive from me with question and we'll send you a link. So here's the first question. Why is it essential to include a multivitamin in my daily routine? And what are the specific benefits I can expect from it? Well, you need a multivitamin daily because your diet is deficient. One of the people that I have worked with over the years says that everyone needs a multivitamin. And one of my other mentors talks about raw building blocks, and essentially all those vitamins and nutrients that should be in our diet are often missing or lacking because of the quality of the soil and the quality of the environment that these nutrients are coming in from. And so your body needs these raw building blocks to be able to create energy. And so these nutrient deficiencies actually accumulate and are draining your energy essentially, because over time, when your body doesn't have what it needs to be able to produce energy, then at a certain point it has to start shutting down things that are optional. Let's just put it that way. It can't stop your heart beating, it can't stop your lungs breathing, your brain has to work at least to some degree, right? And so it's just really important that you're giving your body the nutrients that it needs to be able to produce energy. Can you explain the importance of essential fatty acids, EFAs, and how they differ from other types of fats in terms of health benefits? So, essentially, why essential fatty acids matter? Well, you want to offset the ratio in bad fats. So, bad fats are the canola oil, the seed oils, essentially, the only good fats are olive oil, high quality olive oil, avocado oil. You can use avocado oil. It's safe to use avocado oil with high heat. You really don't want to use high heat with olive oil. If you are getting high quality butter, you can use high quality butter, meaning grass fed butter. There's, a couple of other fats that are fairly high quality, but they're not as easy to get your hands on. So the easiest thing to keep in your pantry is olive oil, avocado oil, and butter. And so what we find is when we're eating out a lot, which I will admit I eat out quite a bit, and you just are going to get a disproportionate amount of bad fats in your diet if you're eating out, because restaurants, just even the good restaurants, can't justify putting really high quality fats into their cooking because they're expensive, relatively speaking. And so you tend to need to balance this ratio with more omega-3. The omega-3 tends to come in things like cod liver oil, other sort of fatty fish. If you supplement with omega cod liver oil in capsules, that's the easiest way that I find to consume it. You want to avoid meat and dairy and eggs from animals that were fed corn or soy, because these will tend to just make matters worse. They're going to add more of the omega-6 and further make your ratios unbalanced. How do B complex vitamins differ from a general multivitamin, and should I be taking them separately, or is a multivitamin sufficient? So, which is better, B complex or multivitamin? So, I don't consider this either or. I consider a multivitamin a necessity, and then do you need to further supplement with B vitamins? And so just know that B vitamins are water soluble, so I get less concerned about taking too much of a B vitamin. Your body has an easier time of sort of flushing that out if you got a little too much of it. But if you're not getting enough protein, remember I want you to get at least 20 to 30 grams of protein 2 times a day, at least 50 grams of protein. And so if you find that challenging, then you're not getting enough protein, and so you really need to supplement with B vitamins, most likely B12 for sure. And so also B vitamins can help if you find that you're struggling with anxiety. So a study found that young adults who took high doses of vitamin B6 daily for a month reported feeling less anxious and depressed. So research does suggest that B6 can help the body transition from fight or flight mode to a more relaxed state. And another study found that people with extreme stress reported greater improvement when taking B6 with magnesium compared to magnesium alone. And so I recommend taking magnesium, especially at night, if you have certain symptoms like muscle spasms or leg cramps. Those can be a real sign that your body is magnesium deficient. And so just know that this B6 can help to make the magnesium and the B vitamins work better. B9, another B vitamin, also known as folic acid, and this has been linked to higher levels of anxiety and depression whenever you're deficient in B9. And if you take B12 and B9 together, it helps metabolize serotonin, and that's important for mood regulation. And just know that serotonin is the sort of way serotonin starts is in the gut. And so if you're having issues with digestion, then really working on improving your digestion is really important, because you can take these vitamins. You can get B vitamins in injection form, but that's a lot more expensive and more complicated. Certainly easier to just take them orally in a capsule, but if your digestion is compromised, then they might not be assimilating well. So B12 tends to be the one that we recommend most often when people are eating like a plant-based diet or not getting enough meat-based protein. B12 is considered an important brain and nervous system micronutrient, and it's often used for anxiety. So the optimal dosage of B12 varies by age and lifestyle and dietary needs, but 1,000 milligrams is often recommended for people who are really vitamin B12 deficient. So if that's you, then supplementing with B12 and potentially even a B complex could be really helpful for anxiety relief and some of these other issues. How do these supplements interact with each other, and are there combinations I should avoid to prevent potential side effects? So there are mistakes to avoid when combining supplements. So first of all, you want to evaluate any medication that you're on. If you're not taking any medications, and I mean these medications include if you're on some form of hormone replacement therapy, that is a medication. If you're on thyroid medication, a lot of women feel like, well, that's not really a medication. It's not like blood pressure medication or something like that. But those medications are medications. And so you need to make sure you understand the implications of any medication that you're taking. And so when you supplement with something, the medication is already creating an imbalance in your body. It's attempting to restore balance and creating an imbalance in the process. And so by using supplements, which essentially are a natural form of medication, you could be creating more of a problem. The other thing I want you to be aware of is that you'll hear sometimes that you want to take mega doses of vitamin D or vitamin D with vitamin K or vitamin E or vitamin A. So vitamin A, D, E, and K are all fat-soluble vitamins. So you'll hear me talk about water-soluble vitamins, and those are easy for your body to assimilate and kind of get rid of whatever it doesn't need. But these fat-soluble vitamins are much harder for your body to digest. They require a lot more work from your liver and gallbladder, and so you definitely do not want to be overdoing A, D, E, or K. Much better to get your vitamin D directly from the source, and that is the sun. And so get outside and walk and get some sunlight on your eyeballs, and it'll help with your biorhythms, your circadian rhythms as well, and improve everything in your life. The other thing I will say is that when you are fasting, the most important thing is that you're getting digestive rest. That's kind of the magic of fasting. And so if you're working on essentially rebooting your digestive system, then I would lay off the supplements, because it does require your digestive system to work even if it's less than 100 calories. 100 calories kind of is that differentiator between, is it a meal? Does it really count? Am I still fasting? You would technically be fasting, but I would want your body to be resting, really getting good digestive rest. If you're taking medication, do not stop taking medication, even if you're fasting, because medication is extremely powerful, and that would only be advised under your prescribing doctor's orders. So you need to work closely with your prescribing physician if you're going to try any of these things. So we just want to make sure that we're preventing any side effects. Are there any lifestyle or dietary changes I should consider in addition to taking these supplements to maximize their benefits? Well, these are best taken with food as a food enhancement. We want to make sure that we're getting a nutrient-dense diet, but often that is not so easy to accomplish. And so if we're not getting a really high-quality nutrient-dense diet, which we probably aren't unless we're eating farm to table from a beautiful organic farm in our backyard, we are going to need to supplement to improve the nutrient density of our food. But just know that digestion is required, and so when your body has to digest in order to assimilate these things, that if you're finding that they don't seem to be improving anything, and I would say that you would need to be supplementing for several weeks before you would really start to see improvement that had sort of worked its way out to a visible degree. But if several weeks have gone by and you feel like you've really been diligent and done a good job, then I would say that your digestion is compromised and that you're not assimilating what you're taking. So then I would suggest that you really back off and figure out what you're going to need to do to reduce the toxicity that your body has accumulated and kind of reboot your digestive system. Fasting can be a great way to do this. And remember, if you'd like me to answer your specific question, make sure to comment question, and we'll send you a link to the submission form. You'll want to subscribe to the channel notifications to get regular updates. This has been the Let's Talk Toxins show. Make sure you subscribe to my channel on YouTube and activate the notifications. You'll get a reminder when I'm going live next. Until then, be well.